roughly 8:45 p.m. here Sunday night. So on the East Coast, it's late for a lot of our members and followers. I apologize for the lateness, but we've been very, very busy. And MFA News Network is exploding with exclusive stories, as well as MFA itself and our survival group and things of the like. So I've been super busy. I had to get some rest in between all of this, but I'll just keep working and working. Tonight I'm going to get into, there was a very bizarre Earth event that took place that I'm going to share with you after the national and world news, as well as this week, I believe you're going to start to see even more chaos around the world. And I don't just mean with planetary events, I mean political, war, everything. I've gotten some recent information, almost up to just maybe an hour ago, that there are some very strange events coming, having to do with our military, things of that nature, and that there have been possible portals been opening across the planet, like portals. I know that sounds a little tinfoil hat, but it's not. Portals across the globe. And some recent events over the past few months, bizarre events that happened, one of them having to be an evacuation of the Barrier Islands, I believe it was in North Carolina, due to a power outage. When in fact that was another event that took place having to do with a portal opening near the beach there. We're looking into that as well, but I can tell you that you're going to be seeing some very, very serious chaos. More so, I believe, beginning like now, forward than you've ever seen over the next few weeks. I also have more exclusive breaking information on Las Vegas, and if you haven't seen my Maverick helicopter update video, I had an exclusive interview with the Maverick pilot, as well as a private chopper ride around Las Vegas, and thus around Mandalay Bay, and if it was possible that a snipers could have shot at concert victims. So there's a lot coming out with Las Vegas as well. Stay tuned. I know people are wondering where show 2 is. It will be out, as I said, and we're doing one other very deep undercover event that we are doing coming up this week. So once that is done, then we will be able to finish up show 2. And anyone who has signed up for my webinar, I've added some more things to it. I worked all day yesterday on it and the night before. So I've added some more things, and I will get that out to you in an email by tomorrow, just so you all know. And thank you all for signing up for that and being interested in it. Let's get into what's going on for the past 24, 48 hours in the world.
New op-ed takes aim at evangelical Christians who support President Trump amid allegations of extramarital affairs. The piece is titled, "Evangelicals Sell Their Souls for Trump." Juan Williams writes, "It now seems clear that evangelical Christians who hold up biblical edicts on lying, cheating, and adultery don't care about the word of God when it comes to Trump." And it gets tougher from there. Here now, Juan Williams and Dr. Robert Jeffress, a pastor at the First Baptist Church in Dallas and a Fox News contributor, and Juan Williams, co-host of The Five and a Fox News political analyst. Pastor Jeffress, yes. What's your response?
Well, look, my friend Juan, I think, has it all wrong on this. Let me just share this perspective. Evangelicals had a binary choice in 2016 between Donald Trump, who admittedly, by his own admission, is not a Sunday school teacher or a saint, but he has become the most pro-life, pro-religious liberty, pro-Israel president in history. The other choice was Hillary Clinton. And although my friend Juan describes her as kind of St. Hillary of Chappaqua, she's hardly a bastion of morality herself. I mean, here is a woman who publicly shamed and blamed the women who had been assaulted by her husband. She supports abortion, unrestricted.
But how can you criticize her for those things and not him for the other things?
Well, listen, here's the point. We had a choice between the two,
Gotcha.
both of them. We had a choice between the two. And what I would ask is, in what universe would anybody say Hillary Clinton was more moral than Donald Trump? And my point is simply this. If I am going to hell, Juan, like you say I am, for supporting Donald Trump, then that means you're going to be 100 floors below me for supporting Hillary Clinton. I mean, the fact is, we're all sinners.
What do you think about that argument, Juan?
I don't agree with it, obviously. I came at this from a political perspective, which is I'm very interested in understanding why white evangelical Protestants are so supportive of Donald Trump. I think now it's 68%, Martha.
It's the policies.
Double every other demographic or religious group in America. So when Michael Cohen, the president's personal lawyer, said last week he paid $135,000 to a porn star, on top of that you have the New Yorker and the Wall Street Journal reporting about a...
You gotta love this madness. I mean, and I'm saying that facetiously. The madness of this. Do you understand? It's okay for Donald Trump to sin because he's pro-life. You know, I'm telling you, the world we live in has become acutely corrupted. Acutely corrupted. So when I grew up Catholic, till I quit school in 8th grade, and I'm going to tell you why. I believe in God. I died. I saw the other side. But I can assure you something. Religion has been created to control man. Okay? And when you go through this back and forth debates, it's very hypocritical in my opinion. Okay? It's okay for one to do one thing, but then it's another because of the other, because they're for this and that. It's very hypocritical. The entire thing is crazy and hypocritical. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Playboy playmate who had an affair with the president. And then you have the FBI director saying, oh, yeah, and we told him about a man who was abusing two wives and nothing.
So why do you think this stuff doesn't stick? When you
I listened to Pastor Jeffress, and he says the policies matter. It's not the fact that this man, as president of the United States, is a role model for us as a society. And I just think that you're buying into the idea that the policies matter, but character and Christian doctrine don't matter.
Are you saying that Hillary has more character than Donald Trump?
Here's my point.
You have flawed
but that's kind of whataboutism, isn't it?
Well, you have to go to the policies then if you have two flawed characters.
Well, that's what's going on here. So evangelicals are saying all we care about is the conservative judges. We care about life. Those are the issues that they say they care about. What I find interesting, though, Juan, I think you make a very interesting argument here. But I'm wondering if Bill Clinton didn't wear people down, and when they look at what they maybe didn't know about Jack Kennedy, they say, you know what? We don't necessarily expect the president to be a moral leader. What we want is somebody who's going to make the changes and do the policies that we like. I'm asking you.
No. And this is my point in America, okay? Let's not talk about it anywhere in the world. America has lost its way. America has lost its morals and its values, a lot of it. Okay, I'm not saying this out to all the good people out there who do have many morals and values. But America's lost its way, and that's the government's plan. For Americans to live in confusion, to live in hate, anger, fear, and division. And this is what you get with New World Order, globalism, and basically the takedown of the United States as a republic and thus a democratic republic. And I don't mean the Democratic Party. You all know what I mean. Total BS soap opera stuff. This is what's on the news, This is what's on the news.
That was going on.
So, that's possible, but I don't think that's exactly what's going on. I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy involved here for people who stand.
He's calling you a hypocrite.
I don't like this guy.
Says I'm going to hell too.
I don't like Juan. Okay, I'm going to be straight with you, but I got to agree with him on this point. It's hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy, and I saw it in Catholicism. You walk in 1 minute and you have to say go to confession, And the next minute, any of you who went to Catholic school know this. You know, you'll get your knuckles cracked for saying the wrong word or whatever. Me, I was always I hated school, but I'm just saying it's total hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy at its best. Total madness. And this is what people spend their time. And I'm showing you the story for a reason. It's part of the national world news. But this is hypocrisy at its best right here. This is total hypocrisy at its best.
I didn't see that in the op-ed.
He said, I've sold my soul.
But imagine if President Obama, whose policies you disagree with, but let's say he was the president, I say, if his lawyer was paying a porn star money or was endorsing a candidate who was allegedly involved with sex with young girls as President Trump, you would have gone ballistic.
I would say that was wrong, but I would not say that is grounds for impeachment, okay? And that's what we're talking about.
But why would you vote for such a person? And why would you continue
for such a person?
But 68%, Pastor Jeffries, continue to support Donald Trump.
It's because of the policies. It's absolutely.
Wow, so you close your eyes. It's like we see no evil.
What are we going to do? Throw him out of office because of things that are alleged? None of these things have been proven, by the way. These are all allegations. As opposed to Bill Clinton, who committed these deeds when he was in office, specifically the Oval Office with Monica Lewinsky. Don't forget that. And there was a blue dress to prove it. We don't have a blue dress in this, and this was in the past.
No blue dress.
This is not while he was in office.
All right. Well, let me ask you guys this, because we talked a lot last night about Reverend Graham, right? Reverend Graham really maintained friendships with Republicans and Democrats. He stood by the side of Richard Nixon. He stood by the side of Jimmy Carter. He stood by the side of all of these individuals and did not judge them. He said, you can hate the sin, but not the sin. You hate the sinner. The sin, not the sinner. Yeah. Thank you. So how people in the evangelical community become too partisan?
Yeah. Look, first of all, Billy Graham was a member of my church for 54 years, so his passing was a very personal thing for me. But I think he had the right message we all need to hear right now. And the fact is, none of us is perfect. There are no perfect TV commentators, pastors, or presidents. We've all fallen. We are all sinners. We need a Savior, and that's why Christ came. And so I think this finger pointing needs to stop. We're all imperfect, but when it comes to political candidates that we elect, we have to look at the policy. I can't think of anyone who's run for office on either side of the aisle that has a perfect character.
So Billy Graham said at the end of his life, he said, I wish I'd spent more time with the gospel and less time with politicians.
He did.
And so my thoughts is, I don't understand why the evangelical Christian community, knowing what President Trump...
What did Billy Graham say on his death? He said, I wish I spent more time in the gospel, in the book, the Bible, than that of being with politicians. Okay? Billy Graham knew he sold his soul out to politics at times as well. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And until someone dies and sees the other side, like I have, okay, I don't want to hear the religious argument, and I'm a big believer in God. Huge believer in God. Okay? Huge believer in God. Very spiritual man I am. From what I have experienced, what I've seen, and what I've been through in my life. But their religion is created for control. I'm telling you now. And I don't mean that's why Jesus came or Muhammad came or the above. No, that's not what I'm talking about. And how they turned and spun things around. And I've discovered something. I'm actually going to be doing a special show on CERN coming up in March sometime. On CERN. I've been doing lots of investigation on that, and I actually got a source concerning CERN. And I have this theory, and I'm going to have to show you the theory on a dry erase board. And I'm going to be doing that type of show with it to explain to you what I believe what's happening with our binary twin, Nemesis, as it's been called, and the Nibiru system, and these two planetary systems, and about solar systems in general, and how they are created and what is creating them. So this is a theory I have of mine, and I'm going to put that out there to everybody coming in March. But this evangelical, this is, in religion, millions of people have gotten slaughtered throughout the ages over religion, over religious beliefs. And I'm going to just say one thing. Even Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas, which is not in our main Bible, but the agnostics follow it, God resides in all of us. And that's what I saw when I died. We are all a piece of God. We are all gods ourselves, so to speak, because we are part of God, and God made us in his image, or her image, its image. Okay? I don't want to use the word his, because that's not what I saw when I died. There's no man in a white robe.
Said during the campaign about grab him, and now this latest revelations about his personal lawyer paying money to a porn star, isn't able to say, you know, we like your policies, but you are a troubled soul, and you don't hold up our standards as Christians.
Let me say this. Look, let me say, President Trump is a friend of mine. I love him. I support him. But the fact is, we are all sinners. And I think we're all sinners.
You wouldn't have said that about Obama.
Yes, I would, especially if they were allegations that have not been proven.
Oh, these are proven.
We have to believe. No,
what's the lawyer paying for?
Where's the blue dress?
Oh, my God. What's the lawyer paying for?
Dress?
The lawyer's paying Christopher Wray, the FBI director's lying?
If they did happen, they are things in the past. Okay. It's different than what is happening right now.
Good to see you both. Very good conversation.
All right, we're going to move on from this story.
Thank you very much to both of you for being here. I appreciate it.
On our nuclear codes, it's pretty serious stuff. According to Axios, when President Trump was visiting China last November, Chinese officials tried to stop a military aide from carrying our nuclear codes into a state building. These codes must be with the president at all times. So when Chief of Staff John Kelly found out, he got in a physical altercation with Chinese security. Axios claims at no point did the Chinese have our codes or even touch the briefcase with the codes. And China claims this is just one big misunderstanding. Is it? Were they trying something here? Were they testing us? Joining me right now, Fox News military analyst General Jack Keane. General, good to see you. I'll start with that. Were they trying to test us?
I don't know for sure, Trish, based on what little facts we actually know. But a couple of things here are relevant. I do suspect that security guard was stopping the guy because he was in uniform more than anything else and thought he wasn't authorized to be there. Everybody else is in a suit. I think that's a logical reason why that security guard may have stopped. And Kelly takes charge of the situation because he knows he's got a serious language problem and he doesn't have time to sort all of that out. Mm-hmm. So he just physically pushes the kid into the room they were going into, and another Secret Service guy gets into an altercation with the security guard over it. The good thing here, so our viewers can understand this, that security code, even if they got their hands on it, is totally useless to them without one thing, and that is the President of the United States, who carries on his person the authentication code to make those other codes useful. They are absolutely useless without him and his authentication code.
This gets us to the bigger issue of China, though, regardless of, and we don't know really what happened, and I hear you, it could have been an honest mistake. It gets us to the issue of something that Marco Rubio correctly brought up in the Senate Intel hearings just last week, and that's that China is a threat. It's a threat that we need to...
Pay attention. You listen to these people. You listen to these people. Is that China is a threat. Like, you're just realizing that China, one of the largest communist country on the planet, is a threat to the United States. Like, for real? What's wrong with these people? This is the problem with people getting too comfortable with this Russian situation and their glorification that Russia has done nothing to the United States or its elections or attempted to, or even other things of spying against the United States or even military skirmishes and things of the like. China and Russia are our enemies. This is about power in the world, people. You understand here? And I think people forget this, okay? Because they live in this social media world of where, the Russians didn't, affect our elections. The Russians didn't do this. The Chinese aren't doing this. No, pay attention. Those two countries are enemies, serious enemies of the United States. And if they could topple the United States without firing one missile, meaning through propaganda, hacking, interference in our elections at all, they will take, at any opportunity, they will do so. Okay? So pay attention to all the small-minded people. like this. Is China really a threat? Yes, China is. Okay, is a threat. They are our enemies. And it's because of the United States' incredible desire with world order leaders to take control of this planet that China and Russia are our enemies. Pay attention. There's a key reason why they are our enemies when it comes to military, financial, and global power. Because when you meet Chinese, I meet Chinese people here all the time in Las Vegas, especially, and in New York, but especially here in Las Vegas. Wonderful people, very nice people. And when you can understand them and you talk to them and you befriend them, even in business like I have, these are very good people. They don't want any harm to the United States, but their government, very controlling government. And China is the new financial superpower. So pay attention. And it will be the AI superpower, the artificial intelligence superpower of the world, not the United States. I don't care what Bill Gates says. He's full of shit. And he knows it. And Bill Gates does a lot of business with China. I'm just, the fascination of, oh my God, China's an enemy. No, they're our best fucking friend.
To start recognizing. Talk to me about that, General Keane, from both an economic and military standpoint.
Yeah, he's absolutely right, the senator. And the national security strategy and the national defense security strategy both identify China as a long-term strategic threat to the United States. The Chinese have literally come out of the closet, so to speak. They've taken their gloves off, and they used to keep everything closeted in terms of what their geopolitical ambitions are. Now they put it all in writing, and they talk about it. In the Pacific, they want to dominate and control the Pacific and reset the table at the expense of our allies and the United States' long-term interest that has been there, and they are gaining in doing just that. In the world itself, President Xi has stated that in 10 or 15 years, he wants to replace the United States as the preeminent global power in the world, that the United States is indeed, in his mind, a declining power, and China is a rising power that cannot.
He is 1,000% correct, and they are the rising power, and they already are the financial superpower because they own the United States. They own it. Bonds, real estate, you name it. Understand. This is the big problem, and it's coming. And do you believe that the world, that the globalists are going to permit, on the other side, China to take over with its World Bank and its gold reserves and its certificated money, and the petrodollar is already being dropped by many countries and getting ready to be dropped by many countries as we speak? This, China, is what will bring the United States to its knees financially for a dollar collapse and reset. And this shouldn't be new to anybody. This is why I tell people, pay attention. Most people do not pay attention, and I've learned, and statistically, people have short memories. Okay? Very short memories. Me, I've been born with this problem that I departmentalize everything. So if I see something, I take it all in, and it departmentalizes it, and it sticks it in the back until I need it again. And then if it pops up again, I can put it together. And it's called departmentalizing, but I was born that way. So I operate like almost a Windows system with files in my head. People need to, they don't remember the seriousness of what's going on. Chinese currency will be the world currency. And listen to what I'm telling you. And if we start taunting them in the Pacific and other areas with Taiwan and things, you will see they will go to war. Don't kid yourself.
I say again, cannot be stopped. That's essentially where they're going. What's on their mind?
Well, we need to take that pretty seriously.
They cannot be stopped.
And that's what they're thinking. That's what they're saying. And if we continue to sort of sit on our hands and not recognize that threat, we continue to allow our companies to get all their information technology stolen by the Chinese. If we continue to allow ourselves to be taken advantage of from a trade position by the Chinese, General, I think the future is going to look increasingly bleak. Is it time we wake up?
We have woken up. The policy of the Obama administration was appeasement and accommodation, head in the sand over China, head in the sand over Russia, and also North Korea and Iran. This administration gets it. They know who the threats are. They're looking at the world realistically, and they're pushing out policies to push back on our adversaries and to support United States interests worldwide. They totally understand what is happening out there, and I'm encouraged by that. When the United States leadership is strong in the world, Trish, the world's a safer and a better place.
The school day began almost like any other. Children sit in class, the teacher holds the lesson. It's a serene day before the poor.
People have been asking about what Israel does in its schools, and I found this this story just came out, so I want to share this. People have been asking what Israel does, for their school children and things like that. And I have to say something. 5 years ago, or even before that, but it more so starting 5 years ago, I kept trying to tell everybody the United States is going to become like Israel. With the shootings, the bombings, the wall, the security, everything, that we would become like Israel. And I saw that, and this is where we are now. We are like becoming Israel's twin, okay? Israel's twin, with the walls, everything. We are.
Holiday, and at this school in Ra'anana, the kids are even wearing pajamas to celebrate. But at exactly 10:05, this happens: a mad dash for shelter. This time, it's not real. It's part of a nationwide drill to teach children how to respond to a rocket barrage.
We know that it's probably going to happen, and if the children are prepared and they can expect, how it's going to go and where they're going to need to be and what physical experiences or emotions they might have, thoughts they might have, they're going to be able to handle it much better than if they haven't prepared for it.
We need to make sure that if something happens to the place we're living in, if something happens where we are, all the kids need to be ready at the school. Everybody needs to know where to go, what to do, because we don't want any kids getting hurt.
It happens with an eerie silence. The red alarm siren cannot be sounded without triggering a panic. And within 30 seconds, all of the children are in a bomb shelter. It's a classroom like any other. Maps and paintings on the walls, educational materials left and right. But there is one key difference. The walls are foot-thick concrete. The windows are steel shutters. And of course, the door is reinforced. It's a fortress, because that's necessary in this country. The children must be ready for more than just rushing for shelter. They must also be able to help care for the wounded, or to be able to put out fires. This, too, is part of the drill.
I was part of it. I think it's mainly to get kids to know what they're doing, and then they'll feel safe when they actually do it in real life.
It's more than just caution. During the last war, Operation Protective Edge, rocket sirens sounded all across central Israel as Hamas and associated groups rained artillery down on Israeli cities.
Protective Edge was hard. We were under a lot of pressure. The children were panicked. Many couldn't even come to school. Others had family, brothers that were soldiers, and it was scary. It was so scary.
The army says in total more than 15,000 rockets and mortars have been fired from Gaza into Israel since 2001. In cities like Sderot, located right on the border, which have suffered the brunt of these attacks, the Israeli Center for Psychotrauma says children show signs of post-traumatic stress disorder at rates above 40%. The hope is that drills like this, held twice...
PTSD above 40% for children living in Israel. Think about what the PTSD is becoming in the United States for all of those involved going to large functions, schools, churches, everything. It is the same thing taking place in our country, and they are wantingly doing this to instill fear and control.
A year now can help prepare Israeli children for what's now considered normal here.
We are hearing more this morning about the plight of two young Syrian girls caught up in one of the government's bloodiest sieges of the country's 7-year civil war. Noor and Ala Khatib live in rebel-held eastern Ghouta, where more than 400 people have been killed in 6 days. Charlie D'Agata spoke with Noor and Ala's mother. He's following developments from London. Charlie, good morning.
Good morning, and we were able to speak with the family this morning, and everyone is safe, but they didn't get much sleep. Explosions continue throughout the night, and they say they're too terrified to step foot outside their apartment. By the hour, the ferocious bombardment of eastern Ghouta crept ever closer to the neighborhood of 10-year-old Noor and her 8-year-old sister Allah, until one airstrike sent shards of glass and debris through their apartment, slashing Allah's forehead. We got through to their terrified mother, Shamsa Khatib, after the blast.
Please help us.
I know, Shamsa, but
We are in danger.
I know you're in danger. I can hear that. I can see it.
The world is just watching what is happening with the world. Why don't help us?
And her message when we spoke to her again this morning.
We are dying of hunger. We are in need of food and safe and freedom. Please help us.
The two little girls had taken to Twitter to tell the world about their plight.
Warplanes and helicopters attack our neighborhood.
Speaking in English, Noor says, so more people would listen.
The children are in danger of being murdered. Save the children of Ghouta before it's too late.
They're among 400,000 civilians living through a merciless onslaught by Russian-backed Syrian forces who insist they're targeting Islamic extremists who continue to fire rockets into the capital, trapped inside what the UN describes as hell on earth. UN discussions of a ceasefire have so far been stalled by Russia. State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert struggled to provide any answers to stop the violence, telling journalists, I don't know what some of you expect us to do.
Turkey's military said this airstrike on Afrin, the Kurdish enclave in Syria, targeted a Kurdish convoy of arms and fighters. Last month, the Turkish military crossed the border into northern Syria to fight what it calls the terrorist Kurdish YPG group. Then, to the delight of its supporters in Afrin, the Syrian government retaliated last week, deploying forces to repel the Turkish invasion. On Friday, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan lashed out at criticism by the United States that civilians were dying in the Turkish operation. He said the US was hypocritical.
Pay attention. I have warned and keep telling everybody. Syria is erupting right now, and watch what happens over the next 30 days in Syria. You have multiple armies coming at each other, and Israel as well attacking Syria, and Iranian forces as well inside of Syria. Russia standing up to this. Russia knows what the U.S. is doing, okay? And now the U.S. wants its piece of action, meaning land, and it's finally come out and said it, at least, Jesus, that it wants a piece of Syria. This is not going to end well. This is not going to end well, and I've been telling everybody before the North Korea matter happens, you're going to see major war erupt in Syria, and you are now. You're seeing all these militaries come together. You're seeing all these, the terrorist factions coming together. And the U.S. is just
held eastern Ghouta. The Defense Department spokesperson of one of these countries, unashamedly, without flushing, said that civilians die in Afrin. People could not return to their homes due to violence. You are heartless, immoral. You feel no discomfort about the murder of hundreds of children, women and elders in eastern Ghouta every day. Yet you are troubled by the fight against terrorists and spread false news. Human Rights Watch said on Friday it had investigated 3 attacks in Afrin last month in which Turkish troops failed to prevent 26 civilians dying.
That major winter storm bringing snow, freezing rain, flooding, and a tornado watch in Louisiana for much of the day. That winter storm stretching from Texas to Maine, dangerous flooding in Dallas tonight, a woman rescued from her car in rushing waters, and treacherous ice flipping a big rig on its side on Highway 81 near Decatur, Texas. ABC's Marcus Moore from the storm zone tonight.
Tonight, that massive storm cutting across the country. bringing a wintry blast to western parts of North Texas, covering roads with dangerous ice. And to the east in Dallas, a deluge of flooding rain, leading to water rescues, even first responders needing help. And overnight,
the rescue underway now.
A woman rescued from the roof of a car. And a terrifying moment for Lacey Smith and his family. Lightning striking their car, sending his hood flying. Evacuations in Indiana and southwest of Chicago as
lightning striking his car and blowing the hood off. Welcome to the new world. Understand. Welcome to the new planet Earth. This is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. I have decided that I am going to take clips, and someone new to our team, I'm having them take all the weather clips just for the last month, and we're going to put them into a special documentary short video to show you what has gone on in just 30 days on this planet, extreme weather-wise. Okay? Blackouts will be starting soon. You're going to be seeing more hacking. You're going to be seeing alleged hacking and things of that nature to cover up what is really going on with our electrical grid and our systems and things of that nature. Pay attention. That's why I tell everybody, and in my webinar to people, why we've created Survival Group LLC and our Atlas City company to develop micro survival communities, self-sustaining survival communities, is because we're going to need them. We're going to need them. And people are going to have to learn to survive. And I mean not just having water stored in their homes. This is going to get ugly. And I've been predicting this all last year, and this year is going to be the turning point of no return.
There continue to rise. And tonight you can see how much the Trinity River has come up here in Dallas. And this is far from over, David. The rain continues to fall. And in the coming days, another half a foot is expected from Texas and across the heartland, David.
Snowmelt and rain have proven a deadly combination across the Midwest and South as floodwater strand drivers flow into homes, prompting rescues, swallowing riverfront parks whole. The death toll, at least 6. The Ohio River near Cincinnati is forecast to reach its highest level in more than 20 years by early next week. In Texas, power outages added to the misery. Where water wasn't a menace, it's ice. Jams backing up waterways, causing flooding, accidents, snarling traffic. This morning, an Oklahoma City fire engine racing to a call toppled after hitting a curb on an icy street. No injuries.
Eventually, they hit the center median where the rig was sideways, and it overturned it.
Air travel has been a headache for thousands for a third straight day. Dallas and Kansas City canceling dozens of flights. And the forecast for the days ahead, not particularly promising. Large bands of rain expected to hover over already soaked ground. A dangerous stretch of weather as winter struggles to keep its grip.
Now to the Weather Watch. And we may have had a break today from the rain, but massive flooding still covers streets in places like Watseka, south of Kankakee. And tonight, from Illinois to Indiana, hard-hit towns are bracing for even more rain. Let's go to CBS 2's Audrina Bigas, who's live in Lake Station. Audrina.
Rob, so far 30 homes have been evacuated here in Lake Station, and for those who've chosen to stay put in their homes, they're stuck inside and stuck in their neighborhoods because of roads like this that have flooded and are closed.
They left? Yeah, they left before they hit. These people I know evacuated.
Tonight is about making sure Lake Station residents are safe.
You guys okay?
The mayor and other city officials checking on homeowners who've opted to stay in their homes surrounded by water.
I make sure that those who didn't evacuate or are still here are doing okay. You guys are okay, you said?
Going door to door.
If you need anything, just give us a call. Getting them food and any kind of necessities they need. The horse. 2 horses, hold on.
They found 2 horses inside a fence of a vacant home.
Those are definitely from Colorado streets.
That's where they were rescued earlier today in Lake Station floodwaters. This 1-year-old quarter horse slowly made his way to the shoreline. By boat, crews managed to pull him toward shore, but not out of danger. Later, his head dipped below water. The rescues took place among at least 5 flooded farms. Now there's a threat of more rain, a scary possibility for homeowners trapped inside with their lights still on tonight.
Huge concern with not just how much rain we get here, but how much rain a lot of almost the entire Lake County gets, because a lot of that rain ends up here.
You ask anybody here in Colorado, our pets are our family, and that is why we thought it was important to
This is
share
a
this
crazy
next story.
story
Denver
right
7
here.
investigative reporter Jace Larson found
Listen
that
to
in the
this.
midst of this opioid epidemic, some addicts are hurting their pets on purpose to get their pain meds.
The thought of someone harming a pet on purpose is just heartbreaking.
It probably happens more than we think.
Dr. Kevin Fitzgerald from Alameda East Animal Hospital has treated just about every animal and every type of pet owner.
I know of 2 cases where we really knew it was happening. It's a cute dog.
Dr. Fitzgerald has learned to spot the red flags.
They kind of stick out because they come in and you've never seen them before. And they know the names of the drugs that they want. And they oftentimes will want a large amount, more than you would use.
Right around Christmas.
Dr. Kathy Brown from Brentwood Animal Hospital has seen it too. People claiming their dog is in pain with no evidence of a real problem. In fact, she used to give pain patches to some pets until she heard about crooks stealing them.
I have known more than one case of them jumping over the fence and ripping it off the animal and taking it for themselves.
Oh my God, that sounds crazy.
Well, if you're addicted, you don't care what you'd have to do to get.
It gets worse than just stealing from an animal in pain. Heather Brea from Kentucky admits she hurt her beautiful dog on purpose.
I got it.
Huh?
I got him.
She used razor blades and then took her dog to the vet to get the opioid tramadol. She admitted in 2012 to cutting her dog 3 times.
I feel like complete total shit for doing that.
The opioid tramadol is a common medicine that addicts want.
Take away pain, take away anxiety.
That is just what police found at this Oregon home 16 months ago. Tens of thousands of pills and cash. Deputies found puppies living in terrible conditions, including rats in their water bowl. Despite all of that, look at how eager they were to say hi when deputies raided the place. Sheriff's investigators believed that the 4 people arrested used dogs to get all of this tramadol.
So the potential is they could go to multiple hospitals and obtain the drugs that they're looking for.
Vets in Colorado try to alert each other when they get suspicious excuses.
Mine spilled, or it's kind of like the dog ate my homework.
But often, keeping track of the crooks is something only done by luck.
But also,
when Elizabeth Austin moved to the pharmacy at Dr. Fitzgerald's office, she was surprised to see a familiar pet owner who she met at the office where she used to work.
And this guy would call every 2 weeks on the dot saying, I need the tramadol, can you please refill it? So it was a red flag that he was coming back consistently so often. And then I ended up accepting a job here, and I saw the same client come here to the pharmacy to pick up tramadol. And so I looked in his chart, and I saw for the past year he had been getting tramadol filled here too.
Wow, can you believe that? Veterinarians can look up a state prescription database to see if a pet's owner has been busted before for prescription drug abuse. But that database does not have any data on pets. It's just the actual people.
Oh my gosh. That is unbelievable.
It's just
sick to your stomach.
To look at those pictures and to think that someone could do that, it really shows you just how addictive these drugs are. That
How
somebody
deep
would do
we
this.
are into it. Thank you for shedding light.
Increase in violent threats since the Parkland, Florida school shooting. Since 17 people died in the school shooting at Marjorie Stoneham Douglas High School, at least 328 violent incidents and threats have been reported, according to the Educators School Safety Network. The group says California leads with the highest number of threats. So, some schools are boosting their security efforts. 4 schools in San Diego County increased security measures Thursday after receiving multiple threats on social media. And last week, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo ordered state police to patrol schools. A former FBI profiler told the Washington Post that threats and false alarms often increase after a national tragedy. Multiple students have been arrested in connection with copycat threats. School officials say one in Arkansas threatened to, quote, shoot up the high school like they did in Florida. They say police concluded the student didn't plan to follow through on the threat.
In Dapchi, hours after parents were told their daughters had been rescued, the state government apologized, saying the information was not true. For the relatives of more than 90 students, the wait has just begun. Some say it's Chibok all over again. These sisters have narrowly escaped the kidnappers, But their older sister wasn't as lucky. The incident leaves them devastated.
They came just after we broke our Monday fast. We heard gunshots. There was chaos everywhere. She tried to comfort us, but it only got worse. 4 of us sisters started running together. She fell, and I fell down too.
Madness going on all over the world. Gunmen, shootings, kidnapping, bombings, everywhere. And even the farthest reaches of the world, as you see here. It's happening everywhere. This planet is in turmoil and getting worse.
But someone picked me up. That was the last time I saw her. She was taken.
Neighbors pour into their home to offer support. At the girls' school, we were refused access to film inside.
Eyewitnesses say some of the attackers dressed in military fatigues drove through the school gates. But before they got in, many of the girls, alerted by the gunshots fired earlier on, scaled the perimeter fence of the school and escaped. But some girls say they saw some of their schoolmates being led into a waiting truck.
Sule Ali and his family thought they too would receive 14-year-old Zainab, but she was one of the schoolgirls taken.
The mother is in hospital. She fainted on hearing that her daughter wasn't found. The grief is too much for her.
He said much was expected of the second-year high school student. For now, they continue to wait, hoping to hear good and definitive news about the return of their child. Residents hope the tragedy won't be as long-drawn as the 2014 Chibok incident, where more than 270 girls were kidnapped from the school. More than a third of them are yet
270 girls kidnapped from this school. So, we have the school shooting here in the United States, and in other countries, they're having armed men storm schools and kidnap children. Okay? And previous to this, there was a large incident of young girls being kidnapped. It's madness, complete madness, all over the planet. Complete madness. Just horrible. And these people lead simple lives, okay? These people are leading simple lives. They don't bother anybody. They do their thing. They don't bother, they're just leading good, simple lives, and they even have to go through this horror of having their children kidnapped and worry about gunmen taking over their schools and the like. It's the maddening effect around this planet.
To be found. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera.
The U.S. announces its largest ever sanctions package on North Korea. The U.S. Treasury Department says the new sanctions target 27 companies and 28 vessels. It added that the measures are aimed at stopping shipments of oil from reaching North Korea. Washington has also warned that it will impose sanctions on those who enable shipping to and from North Korea. Meanwhile, the U.S. President Donald Trump has said that if sanctions on Pyongyang don't work, Washington will have to go to, quote, phase 2, which he described as very unfortunate for the world.
Donald Trump warned, if this last set of sanctions does not work, we go to phase 2. Pay attention. I'm telling you, Donald Trump wants to preemptively strike North Korea and take out Kim. They are trying to talk him out of this. I'm telling you, my sources keep telling me the same story over and over again. So this sanctions, this is what I believe you're going to see. The strict sanctions come down. China's now already said that they don't agree with them. You're going to see an incident with North Korea, and now they're saying they want to talk to us possibly and things. Watch. You're going to see an incident that says that North Korea has violated these sanctions and they're not working. And the next thing, after April 1st, wham, we're going to preemptively strike North Korea if they can't stop Donald Trump from doing it. Just what I tell you.
If the sanctions don't work, we'll have to go phase 2. Phase 2 may be a very rough thing, may be very, very unfortunate for the world. But hopefully the sanctions will work.
Trump made the remarks at a press conference with the visiting Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. The U.S. President added that his administration's strategy towards North Korea is strongly supported by the global community. Pyongyang is already under a host of international and U.S. sanctions over its nuclear and missile programs. The North says that it needs the program to deter any U.S. aggression. Latest U.S. sanctions come at a time when North and South Korea are trying to ease the tensions on the Korean Peninsula. Jason Onruha is a political commentator and analyst joining us from Ontario. You have this threat coming from Donald Trump after announcing the sanctions at a time when obviously you have this warming of relations between the North and the South, which puts into question why the U.S. is acting so aggressively when it comes to the North at this juncture.
Well, I think it's definitely a result of the fact that the North and the South have definitely worked together to try to warm relations between the two while excluding the United States from it. I mean, it's very obvious from looking at the Olympics that the U.S. was left out of this whole situation. While the relations were warming between the two countries, the U.S. was frowning upon it the entire time, trying to even sabotage that goodwill that's going on between the two countries. But that didn't really have any effect. And the U.S. ended up looking rather foolish on the world stage, that while they continued to insist that they wanted a peaceful situation on the peninsula, yet there they were trying to ruin that exact kind of mood that the DPRK was actually offering towards the South in their cooperation together. So I definitely think that there is a great deal of anger coming out of the U.S. that the North and the South are beginning to look for a peaceful way to coexist together, while it's the U.S. who really does want the North to be destroyed.
Do you think that the U.S. is going to stop with these sanctions, or what are we looking at? Because at this point, it almost seems as if it's many say that it is counterproductive, the approach that the U.S. has. At the same time, we have these drills that the U.S. and South Korea are going to do at some point again.
Well, I definitely think these sanctions are going to hurt. Anytime you try to restrict the amount of fuel or energy going into any country, there's a great impact that they're going to suffer as a result. But the DPRK has been willing to suffer a great deal more in order to maintain their independence. So I don't see this working in the long run of making them crack and having them end up bowing to U.S. pressure inside the country. Because if the DPRK has proven anything, is that it's willing to go to whatever lengths necessary in order to maintain its independence. And I definitely think that this is really more of a kind of desperation tactic on the side of the United States. The heaviest, the worst sanctions ever are showing that previous actions did not work, and that the DPRK has been struggling through quite bravely, I might add.
Very well, thank you for that, Jason Onruja, political commentator and analyst from...
Soldiers have already started operations in Rio de Janeiro after a presidential decree ordered the military to take over the command of security in Brazil's second largest city. Violence has been on the rise recently with daily shootings.
Martial law in Brazil. Major martial law happening in Brazil.
Shootouts between rival drug gangs and the police, all while the city is mired in a deep fiscal crisis. Some businessmen agree with the initiative.
Maybe this is not the ideal measure, but it certainly is a necessary one. Rio de Janeiro is living in a very difficult moment because of the lack of security, but this has to come together with social actions.
Luis Eduardo Soares, who served as National Public Security Secretary in 2003, says this military strategy has been tried several times in the past at great expense and has always failed.
The army is not prepared to deal with public security. It is trained to fight wars and sees suspects as enemies to be killed, and that is not the way to approach a civilian conflict. So there is a contradiction between the means and the ends.
Another consequence of the decree is that President Michel Temer will have to shelve an...
Also, Brazil is another country in acute financial crisis. Many countries across the globe are in acute financial crisis, and it's going to worsen. And then martial law, the wars, the rioting, and then the wars. the civil wars will begin and are beginning. This is collapse around the world. Countries are collapsing. They are collapsing.
Popular pension reform. The country's constitution prohibits such changes while a military intervention is taking place. But that could be to his advantage.
The federal intervention here is a big political bet for President Temer. If the city goes safer, it's going to boost his popularity and he may run for re-election or support one of his allies to the post. And at the same time, it's a very good excuse for him to not vote the controversial pension reform.
Though the security plan has not been revealed, the army will be in command at least until after the October general elections. While the intervention may be a political move for President Temer in an election year, both critics and supporters agree that soldiers and guns alone will not be enough to fix Rio's deep-rooted problems with violence. Lucrecia Franco, CGTN, Rio de
Joining us
Janeiro.
live now from South Bend, Indiana, is Mr. E. Michael Jones, who is the editor of Culture Wars online magazine. And Mr. Jones, what do you make of the resolution put forth at the United Nations Security Council? Do you think that that is the way to solve this situation in Eastern Ghouta?
First of all, I think we need to bring a little bit of moral clarity here to the situation. This is being portrayed as the attack on Ghouta is now being portrayed as war crimes in the Western media. I don't think that's the case. Sergei Lavrov clearly said that they're applying the same measures against Ghouta that they applied in Aleppo. Now, what did they do in Aleppo? They prepared ways for the civilian population to leave, and months, days, weeks in advance, okay, and then they attacked Aleppo. We have the same situation here in Ghouta, where al-Nusra is basically holding the civilian population hostage. They're using the civilian population as human shields and are trying to portray this as some type of war crime when the real fault lies with al-Nusra and those people who are holding these people hostage.
All this other mainstream media about all these civilians, kids, this, that, propaganda. You understand? Meaning, yes, civilians, are dying. However, militants are using them as hostages and human shields. That's not going to stop Russia or Syria from bombing these militants. You got to get rid of these factions. They are backed by others, okay, including the U.S., Israel, Saudi Arabia, even others, Turkey. You have to get them, and this is what Syria has become for some time. And they say the numbers of deaths are 500. No, they're over 600,000. Okay, let alone all the human trafficking that goes on with women and children over there as well, and even young men.
Mr. Jones, we now have Nikki Haley, who is saying that she does not rule out a military solution to this conflict, saying that the United States is prepared to engage against Syrian forces directly. What do you make of that statement?
Here it comes.
I think it's preposterous. They've already lost the war. They're out. They're hors de combat, as the French would say. Okay, and they're sitting off there by themselves, trying to create a Kurd insurrection against Turkey, Iraq, and Syria. That's what they're doing. They're not serious players in this war, and they're not going to have any humanitarian or any type of other outcome on the situation in Ghouta right now. No, it's not going to work. They need to have a ceasefire. The UN needs to bring about a ceasefire. But as was mentioned, they have to make sure that al-Nusra holds to the ceasefire. Now, you have people who are holding the civilian population as hostages. Betting that they will hold to the ceasefire is not a good bet, in my opinion.
Mr. Jones, amongst all the condemnations we're hearing about what's happening in Eastern Ghouta, just today itself and for the number of days now, Damascus has been bombarded by many of these militant groups, such as al-Nusra in Eastern Ghouta. Do you think that their condemnations will be coming regarding that as well?
No. I mean, Robert Fisk just wrote an article in the Independent saying the media won't show pictures of al-Nusra. It's like this phantom war. All they're showing pictures of are the innocent women and children that are being hurt by this attack. Well, yeah, that's true. They are being hurt. But who's responsible for it? Who's holding them hostage? So, no, obviously there's not going to be any pressure on them to withdraw because the Western media won't even say they exist.
Very well, Mr. Jones. We'll leave there at that. But, of course, as always, we appreciate you taking your time out to speak to us.
More airstrikes, more bombs, and more casualties. It is not letting up. Across eastern Ghouta, rescue workers sprint into broken and burning buildings before the dust of their destruction settles. This was another attack a few miles away. A temporary ceasefire is under negotiation, brokered by Russia, Egypt, and Turkey. Even if it happens, the horror of these days will stay with the survivors for a lifetime. Two sisters, Ala, aged 8, and Noor, 11, were in their home when it was hit.
My home, our planes bombed our night,
But just like the gentleman just said, and these girls, which we showed earlier, these two young girls, they're using these poor children as their propaganda to cover up what's really going on. They're blaming Syrian forces and Russian forces for attacking, in an area that these children and families are being used as human shields, basically. Very sad. The entire thing is very sad. But to plaster children and then use them, just like they're using with this horrible school shooting, for political gain and propaganda with war, very bad. Very, very horrible.
Building now. Save Ghouta. Look at home.
This was sent to us by their mother, Shamsil.
Please help us. Please save our children here in East Ghouta. Where is the humanity? I ask you in the name of motherhood. Please help us.
Getting on for 400,000 people, terrified by the sight and sound of aircraft, are thought to be in eastern Ghouta, which is the size of Manchester. The Syrian regime insists it's targeting terrorists, but it's clear many children are among the wounded and the dead.
See? Propaganda.
Improvised hospital.
Why don't they tell you the truth that there are militants hidden, holed up in there, in Ghouta, tons of them, okay? And they are really targeting them, and civilians obviously, sadly, and obviously get killed in airstrikes. War is bad no matter which way you look at it. But they're not telling the world the truth.
Hospitals have been set up in cellars and basements during the years of war. Now, though, the medics are at full stretch. Dr. Amani Balor wanted to send a message to the people of Britain.
We never wanted the war, and we don't want to live under it. For the sake of our children who've been blown to pieces, for the sake of our children who died of hunger, what we're seeing every day has caused us to collapse, both humanely and psychologically. We don't have anything more to offer. We're being bled out.
Dr. Amani was treating 12-year-old Mohammed, who was dying. His mother, Ahmed, had been cooking breakfast for her family when 3 airstrikes came in.
I'm here waiting for my son to die. At least he'll be free of pain. I pray to God to end his suffering. But where are the Arabs? Where are the Muslims? Do we have to appeal to Israel? When my boy dies, he'll go to heaven, where at least he'll be able to eat. I'd like to die with him so I can look after him.
Syrians have cried so many tears in the last 7 years of war. The killing is escalating, not ending. And once again, the world is watching from a safe distance.
Horrible situation in Syria, Yemen. Famine and disease in Yemen is the highest ever in the world, meaning for any country. Syria is and it's increasing. In other words, Syria, as I have told you, is going to become, or is becoming, this epicenter of all of these militaries and globalists. And we are now trying to get ourselves back in to this war. And that means going to war with Russia in Syria. If we're going after Syrian forces, we're going after Russia and Iran. And that's where the big war is going to be. I'm telling you, besides North Korea, if it's permitted. But Syria is a given, and it's only getting worse, sadly. I want to share this video with you. That has come from Mr. BBB.
Sunday, February 25th, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Guys, I received some video footage today that looks like it confirms that this line that spans over several thousand miles that appeared on Google Earth, Google Maps, kind of dismissed as a processing glitch. I don't think it was. I've gotten first-hand video footage this morning from this exact line in the sky on February 20th, 2018. I took this screenshot on the 19th. This is from Google Maps. It was also on Google Earth, which they're both one and the same, really. We saw some still shots from the ISS. That looks like a straight line that expands for maybe a couple thousand miles. That was on the 21st. Sent in by Dean. These are two screenshots from the space station. I also found a shot from the space station, or actually this was sent in. I went to the space station and confirmed it. This is just a couple of days old. Another line that you can see expanding for a long, long ways that just doesn't look normal. It's not something that we normally see. Nor was this. So unless you actually physically saw it, you'd think, well, it's just a processing glitch. I don't think it was. I've got video to prove that somebody saw this from the ground and got an excellent video. There's actually 4 video clips they sent me of that line. I'm going to share those with you right now. But I did a video a while back about Earth being influenced by something. We talked about these strange trail. Here it is on Google Earth, extending the entire length of the Earth. This was on February 19th. I did a video prior to this about the possibility of something influencing the planet from, outside in the solar system somewhere, something that the Earth just isn't necessarily used to. And you got to ask yourself, what could cause this? What could maintain that physical structure like that? A form of energy, right? That's the only way. A consistent. You're talking a constant. The clouds that you see here moving around are variables. This line here, this linear line that extends for thousands of miles, is a constant. What creates a constant? There could be many things, More than likely, it was a frequency that the Earth was detecting from something very, very big. All right, so we have to keep all options on the table here, and we're going to consider everything.
This line that you're seeing here, perfect, on Earth, is a frequency change. And it's affected our magnetosphere. As I keep telling you, we're in a magnetic pole shift and something big. This is not CERN. People have got to start to understand what CERN is and what it does. This is not CERN. Okay? Not CERN. As I said, I'm preparing a special show. It'll be pre-recorded and not live about CERN. People are confused about what CERN is and what it does, and what I have a theory on top of that of what it's really doing and what its purpose is, and why China is even rushing to build the biggest CERN of them all. Countries are rushing to build their own CERNs. So I want you to ask yourself a question. If CERN was built, okay, originally in France and through the countries there, to look for the God particle, why do you need multiple CERNs looking for the same particle that you've already found? That's all I'm going to say to you at this moment. Why do you need multiple countries to have bigger and faster CERNs when you already have one main CERN that multiple countries are participating in the research thereof? But this is not CERN that you see with this line
here. But you have to keep in mind, this is a constant. The random clouds that you see are variables. So something big and strong was felt by planet Earth for several days, and I don't think it's gone anywhere. It's here. Something is here, okay? So I'm going to share this video footage with you, and you can tell it's totally obvious. The observer did capture what does appear to be a...
Pay attention to this. It's very important.
Whatever it is. So here we go. Here's the first video. I've got 4 clips.
As I tried to tell you, you're going to see massive changes beginning, like already in the process here on the planet. And it's going to get worse as we go forward over the next few weeks. This is massive frequency, okay? Frequency, energy causes this, okay? And it's a constant energy onto the Earth. The magnetosphere, our magnetosphere is collapsing. And it's being hit hard on a regular basis.
There you go. There's a good look at it right out of the gate. This is from Will in the Netherlands. Before I do the videos, let me share with you what he shared with me. Hi, just want to share on a really strange cloud line in the sky above the Netherlands. Have a look on what I've spotted last Tuesday, the 20th, February 20th, 2018. Some strange straight-lined cloud formation, quite wide and reaching beyond the vanishing point of my eyes. Different kind of cloud material than the other clouds around it or behind it. It just looked strange as this formation reached as far as I could see in a perfect, straight, clean line. Film and pics, which he sent pictures, and the 4 video clips. Latitude 51, longitude 6, the 20th of February, 9 a.m. So here's the first video. Let me get back to it. Where are we at? Here, we'll play this one here. This is a 12-second clip. Again, this is from the Netherlands on the 20th. Look at that.
There's your line.
And the reason he took the video is because he had never seen anything quite like this before. Here's another video clip. Look at that. Expands the entire length of the globe.
Massive energy. Look at that.
That's not a roll cloud either.
That's no roll cloud, exactly.
Here's another video clip.
People think this stuff is a joke, and it ain't no joke. This is no joke, what's happening to this planet.
Look at that thing.
I'm telling you. Magnetic shift in the process.
And he's right. It expands as far as he could see in both directions. I've got another video clip.
Can't make that up. That's the deal.
Right here. Here we go. Save the best for last.
Look at that.
Here you go. And that's as far as you can see. And it's maintaining the structure. So remember.
See, it's pushing
this
everything.
Is a constant.
Constant.
It's not a variable. Just remember that.
Look at that. So for all those doubters and naysayers, pay attention. Shit just got real.
Some sort of a frequency from space You can tell it does not look like the other clouds in the sky. It's maintaining a structure, so very, very unique indeed. And I do think it is ground confirmation that whatever this was on Google Earth, where's our little picture at? It's still up here. That's Google Earth now. Looks like it's I don't know. There's a breach in data that expands the entire length of the Atlantic. When I saw it, the line was going right through here. So, and then a lot of other people did too, and that was on the 19th. So I don't know what's going on with it now. Never seen that type of anomaly either. But there's the line. It does look like it's proof from the ground that that thing did exist, and it wasn't a glitch. And whatever it was, the Earth felt it. You got to keep in mind that is a constant. Whatever created that, it's not variables like the other clouds. So very unique, something big. Was felt by the Earth, and I think it's still here. Just take a look at the weather. Look at the sky phenomenon that we're seeing. Just take a look around. You don't have to look far. Just take a look around. So, pretty big deal. This was real, whatever it was. This was video footage from the Netherlands on the 20th of February, 2018.
This is very real. Okay? This is very real. And most people keep forgetting that we're a big blue marble floating out in space. And Earth operates like a big nuclear reactor with our sun, with our core and our moon. And now they have found another moon, by the way, that they're calling an asteroid, that they just are saying that Earth has another moon. I mean, Earth has another moon. And I shared the story with you guys that NASA's come out and said that they have discovered that Earth has another moon, and they're calling it a reorbiting asteroid that has been with us for some time. Now they're saying that this asteroid is another moon to our planet. This is major frequency change. This is what you're seeing in these clouds, and the perfect line. Okay? And as he said, it's a constant. In other words, that's constant frequency energy, consistent, not stopping, not changing, pushing, and encompassing the Earth. All right, everybody. That's it. It's 10:20 here. I got to get some food and wrap up. I'll be working. My time zones are all scrapped up again. I got working through the night, and then and once I stayed up for 24 hours working the other day, actually 40 hours, over 32 hours, I screwed up my whole sleep pattern. So now I'll be up working through the night, which I don't mind anyway. So, all right, everybody. Good night, and God bless.